Let's start a new series today where we will discuss different planets in different houses.
Yes.
Like the previous ones, we will also take some celebrity examples so that we understand what the significance of each house means
Yes.
and also the position of the planet
Yes.
means. So today, let's start with the sun and
Yes.
see how sun impacts on 12 different houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sun basically talks about your soul. Sun talks about your father. It talks about your Atma Karaka, what you intend to do in this life. Sun also talks about confidence, exuberance, intelligence. So, for example, sun is very strong in the chart. You are reasonably confident, and you are center of attraction in that particular. So, we
Okay.
have detailed about what is sun in multiple
Yes.
videos.
We can
So,
link
we'll
that video in the
yes,
description below.
yes. So basically, sun in the first house means first house talks about your personality, it talks about your health, it talks about your appearance and those kind of things. So sun in first house also talks about confidence. So typical examples are like, for example, Sri Devi. So Oprah Winfrey. So today's video we'll only talk about female lady
Right.
examples, and then so the first house we talk about Sri Devi and Oprah Winfrey. So these celebrities, the sun is in the first house, and it exudes confidence. The both these celebrities, they're very strong in terms of their personality and their
Okay.
presence in the movies and presence in the media kind of a
Right.
thing.
So sun in the first house also represents the body, right? Will they
Yes.
be very healthy?
Yes. So sun generally reasonably strong in the first house. They'll be very healthy. They'll have very thin hairs,
Okay.
and that radiance will be there in that particular
Chart.
personality. If it is slightly afflicted with malefics, then the health will always be a problem. So
Okay.
sun Ketu, sun Saturn,
Right.
sun Rahu kind of a combination. Always there could be problems with terms of health kind
Health.
of a thing.
Okay.
So sun in the second house. So second house is the house of wealth, assets, family, speech, and all those kind of things. So we'll talk about a personality called Indira Gandhi. Indira Gandhi has three Parivartana yogas in her chart. So it's one of the few charts where there are three Parivartana yogas. So there is a second house and a fifth house Parivartana between Sun and Mars.
Okay.
So second house of family. We know that she comes from a
Wealthy
political
family. Yeah.
Sun political
Right.
family, and then a reasonably wealthy family as well. And second house of communication. Her communication is very strong. So there is the fifth lord comes to the second house. Second lord goes to the
Fifth house.
fifth house kind of thing. So from that perspective, Indira Gandhi is a perfect example for Sun in the second house kind of a
Okay.
flavor. Yes.
Right. So now sun in the third house.
Yeah, sun in the third house of communication, right? So third house of communication, short distances, and short travels and those kind of things. So from a communication standpoint, Hema Malini has sun in the third house.
Okay.
So third house of very strong communication, very crisp communication. I don't know if you've heard, she is also a member of parliament. Her the way of speaking is very crisp and strong. So that authority, that political stature, and that I am the boss kind of a feeling comes very strong from that.
Sun in the third
Yes.
house.
So even in her ads, the way she speaks is Kent Kharido kind of a thing. So that kind of a, it is not from a, so that sun's status is very strong in that third house kind
Okay,
of a thing.
got it. So also, will these people be good in terms of from a career perspective? Will
Yes.
it be good for them to choose like communication, media?
Yes.
All of this
Yes.
seems like a
All of this seems like a very good,
Good
option, provided the sun is reasonably strong.
Strong, okay.
Otherwise, if the sun is weak or if it is afflicted, they will always be considered from a negative direction.
Okay.
They'll always be viewed from a negative point of view.
Okay, got it. So even for a politician, sun in the third house
Yes,
is good
yes,
because
it's
the
good.
way he talks
Yes,
will
yes,
attract the masses.
Yes. Provided the masses look at him as a leader.
Okay.
So if the masses don't look at him as from a leadership perspective, it will be always taken from the wrong direction.
Okay. So sun in the fourth house.
Yeah. So sun in the fourth house of foundation, fourth house of your land, fourth house of your home and those kind of things. So we have from a country perspective, Indira Nooyi, got fame for the country, becoming the first
CEO of
from a
PepsiCo.
country. So the fourth house, very strong. So we have foundation, the Reliance Foundation, Mrs. Ambani also has sun in the fourth house kind of a thing. So anything related to foundation, family, your home and those kind of things is very strong from a fourth house
Okay.
kind of a
So real
perspective.
estate is a good option.
Yes,
for
real
these
estate
days.
and those kind of things are very
Okay.
good option from that perspective.
From a career perspective,
Yes,
it is very
yes.
good. And even fourth house also represents the mother. So mother
Yes.
could be a very strong
Yes,
personality.
mother could be a very strong person. Fourth house also in a natural zodiac
Ah.
represents finance related as well. So you would know. I mean, Indra Nooyi had a finance kind of a background.
Right.
So that flavor is very strong,
strong.
Sun in the fourth house, and if it's very strong kind of a thing.
Okay. Okay. So
So
let's.
Sun in the fifth house talks about fifth house of passion, fifth house of performance, fifth house of this entertainment industry kind of a thing. So
Okay.
from that perspective, we have Madhuri Dixit is a very strong perspective. We also talked about Indira Gandhi second and fifth kind of a
Parivartana.
parivartana here. So this flavor of if there is a actress who has sort of created an impression in this particular decade or last 2-3 decades, it is probably Madhuri Dixit. That fifth house of performance is very strong. So
Okay.
she also has a very strong Gajagesri Yoga and then very strong Venus in the chart as well. So from that perspective, this Sun in the fifth house is very strong for that particular thing.
How about children? Like, does it impact children?
So
when
children will have sort of a royalty status. So they will go to huge, big schools, very expensive schools, and they will study with royal people, kind of a thing. So that kind of a flavor is very strong.
From the sun in the
Yes,
fifth house.
yes.
Will you have problems with conception or anything like that?
No, not necessary. Unless it is, sort of
Afflicted.
eclipse with
Rahu
Rahu
or
or
Ketu.
Ketu.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's a very nice sort of
Good place to
position.
have
Yes,
sun
yes.
and-
So sixth house talks about enemies. Sixth house talks about obstructions in life and those kind of things. So we have personalities like Kiran Bedi. We have personalities like PV Sindhu. She has to beat the opponents, and even Kiran Bedi, jailer, prison. I mean, taking care of prisons and
Yes.
DGP, crime, and those kind. So that flavor is very strong. So Sun in the sixth house, you automatically tend to even medicine, doctors.
Okay.
Famous doctors are also come in that particular kind of a
Okay.
thing. So that flavor is reasonably.
So does this give them victory over their enemies?
Yes. So the Sun in the sixth house,
A strong sun.
very strong Sun in the sixth house, automatically gives them the power to sort of beat
over
enemies,
their enemies.
win over enemies and those kind of things.
Okay.
So that is the natural tendency from a tendency perspective.
Okay.
So from a Sun perspective, first and the fifth house are the very strong houses. So we have Sun gets Digbala in the 10th house. So Sun and Mars in the 10th house. We have fifth house Leo, natural zodiac, where Sun gets exalted kind of a thing, and then we have Aries, Sun in the first house. So these three houses are pretty strong from a Sun's
Sun
perspective.
in the house perspective.
Yes.
Okay.
So seventh house Sun, we talk about the Padaprapti, we talk about masses and those kind of things. So some causes which are related to politics and related to the masses. So we have the celebrity called Malala, right? So she took up the entire cause for the entire country, for entire sort of women and children kind of a thing. So that flavor is very strong. So you seventh house Maraka as well. So the Maraka means your enemy kind of a thing, or something which is related to obstruction.
Right.
So you are taking up a cause and then making that cause and then winning that cause kind of a thing for the entire society or your family or the nation kind of a thing.
This is very good for people in social work.
Yes, very good for
running
people.
NGOs.
Yes, social work, NGOs, and those kind of things. It's very
Strong.
nice thing. So it is also said that the partner will be a high status kind of a person.
Okay.
Partner may also be a person with high ego kind of a thing. So there has to be a balance from a first 1-7 perspective.
Okay.
If this combination
Is there.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's better to look at the chart
And then
take
yes,
Okay.
take a decision. So Sun in the 8th house. So 8th house talks about partners family, right? So second from 7th.
Right.
So it talks about partners family, partners finances and those kind of things. So somebody Sun in the 8th house, if its position is reasonably strong, indicates that the partner is very famous. Partner's family also is very famous. Sudden changes in life and those kind of. So we can talk about example, a celebrity called Jaya Bachchan, right? So sudden changes in
yes.
ups and downs in life.
Right.
Partner's family, poet Harivansh Rai Bachchan, very reputed poet.
Right.
Partner's family in terms of finances and sudden changes in finances is also very evident from that perspective.
Okay.
So that flavor is very strong from a Sun in 8th house.
Is it also possible that the partner's family comes from a bureaucratic? Because Sun is again political,
yes.
right?
Sun is also related to politics.
Right.
So we have have some connection. They were family friends to the Gandhi family and those kind of things. So there was association from politics perspective, and both Jaya Bachchan and Amitabh Bachchan, they have tried some stunt into politics and those kind of things.
So that sort of works for
Yes.
Sun in the 8th house.
Yes. Sun in the 9th house talks about 9th house of government, 9th house of boss, 9th house of religious places and all that. And if Sun is placed there, it talks about a strong person who will take care of the government. So, for example, Jayalalitha, she has Sun in the 9th house and a very strong person who will take care of the entire government kind of a perspective.
Okay.
So that flavor is very strong from Sun in the 9th house kind of a
What
flavor.
about the Bhagya? Bhagya, does it shine?
Yes, so 5th and 9th houses anyway, Sun is there and it's exalted.
Okay.
It clearly indicates that the Bhagya from a soul perspective is fantastic actually.
Okay.
So from a soul perspective means from a previous birth perspective,
Okay.
from a future birth
You're a blessed
perspective.
soul.
Yes, you are a blessed soul kind of a
Okay.
thing. So it's very, very strong from that perspective.
Perspective.
So even Jayalalitha, if you see, there are two Pancha Mahapurusha yogas.
Okay.
You have a Hamsa yoga, you have a Malavya yoga.
Okay.
Hamsa yoga, talks about largesse and then the big person, a big personality, and Malavya talks about, your entry into movies and then
Okay.
you being a queen there and those kind
Right.
of things. Yes.
Okay.
So Sun in the 10th house is actually fantastic for people. It has got Digbala. So Digbala means the positional strength, right?
Right.
So we have Moon in the 4th house which gets Digbala, Saturn in the 7th house which gets Digbala.
Okay.
So we have Sun in the 10th house which gets Digbala. So it is fantastic placement from a celebrity media perspective.
Okay.
So from a film perspective, from a singing perspective, from a media perspective, you will always shine in that particular circle. So
Okay.
that is fantastic placement for a. So for example, talk of a celebrity, Sun in the 10th house, Rekha. So a person, a single solo person, even today at this age, wherever she goes, she gets the limelight, she
Right.
gets the center of attraction.
Right.
So any award movies, any award functions, she's always one of the persons who is talked to by the
Okay.
conqueror. So
Okay.
it's a very sort of a center of
Strong
attraction
position.
kind of a
Okay.
positional.
And will you do well at work, like 10th house being
Yes,
the
yes.
house?
10
Provided
so
it is
Digbala,
strong. Right.
any planet with Digbala itself is a Raja Yoga.
Okay.
So you have 3 planets with Digbala in the chart. It is a fantastic Raja Yoga.
Okay.
So suppose you have Moon in the 4th house, Saturn in the 7th house, Sun in the 10th house. That means 3 planets are with Digbala.
Okay.
So you get automatic strength in that particular chart. It's a Raja Yoga by itself,
By itself. Okay.
irrespective of the placement.
Placement.
Unless it's afflicted by malefics and all
Right.
that. Yes.
Then it loses strength.
Yes, yes. So Sun in the 11th house talks about 11th house of networking, 11th house of large organizations, 11th house of income, 11th house of money and those kind of things. So the royal placement of Sun there. So for example, we can talk about a celebrity called Sudha Murthy. So extremely sort of rich from that perspective. 11th house of spirituality aspect. So that richness has not affected her lifestyle. And then she also believes in simple living and those kind of things. So that flavor is very strong from a
Sun in the 11th.
Sun in the 11th house kind of a thing. It's a beautiful placement because Sun is the soul, right? So soul seeks your connect with divinity kind of a thing. Then automatically that income makes no prominence in your life.
Okay.
So you already automatically start exploring divinity and those kind of things.
So another thing is it good for people with Sun in the 11th house to work in large organizations?
yes.
Or
So
work
ideally,
with the large organizations?
work with large organizations, and if it is exalted, you will probably reach a very leadership kind of
Right,
a role.
right.
Automatically, that particular position will be
So
very easily achievable.
rather than working for a startup, joining an MNC,
yes.
that is a
You
good.
should look at large MNCs where there are large number of people. Automatically, you will find
will
that you will
rise to the
grow.
top.
You
Okay.
will rise to the top. And Sun in the 12th house, finally, we talk about 12th house of secrecy, 12th house of bed pleasures. So Sun there, illumination there, automatically brings prominence in that particular
Relationship.
sphere of life. And the best example that we can talk about Sun in the 12th house is Marilyn Monroe. Wherever she is involved with multiple sexual scandals and multiple
Right.
affairs and those kind of things. The Sun in the 12th house gains prominence there because of this particular kind of a flavor.
But is there a spiritual angle to this? The 12th house being the
Yes.
house of spirituality.
Yes.
Good for them to become yoga teachers
Yes.
or chant mantras.
Yes. So ideally, Sun is represents your Atmakaraka and the ego, and Sun in the 12th house clearly denotes that you are losing your identity,
Okay.
which is the best thing to move into a spiritual
direction.
kind of a perspective. But if the material perspective is very dominant, then this activation does not happen at all.
Okay, okay. But generally good for them to do some puja
Yes,
and
yes,
chant some mantras.
yes.
Okay. Again, Sun in the fifth house, good to chant mantras
Yes,
because fifth house
yes.
of mantras.
So fifth house, Sun also represents rhythm, right?
Right.
So anything to do with continuous rhythm and chanting is fantastic for Sun in the fifth
Fifth
house.
house.
Yes, yes.